it's okay if you're having a hard time right now. Yeah. Because I don't think that's put out enough. On social media especially, you're supposed to put all your successes out. And, oh, look, I went to this event and this other event, this event. Yes, I did go to all those events, but I'm struggling like everybody else. I'm like I said, I took a sound gig, and then I took I'm thinking about shooting weddings, you know, and I literally feel like I am going backwards. But like my friend Cynthia said, you're taking a step back so that you can jump.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's all we can do.
We are the
Get Reelisms podcast.
I am Adam Chase Ray.
And I am Christine Chen. And surprise, we're both filmmakers.
We get into it by sharing secrets, advice, and gossip in filmmaking.
And we even get our other filmmaking friends to share theirs too.
So please, everybody, join us for
an ode to filmmaking.
Welcome to another episode of the Get Reelisms podcast, episode 143. I am Adam Chase Rennie.
And I am Christine Chen.
We're back, everybody, and don't pay any attention to Christine's nose ring. She's just in a phase in her life. She's going through some things right now.
I'm in a midlife crisis.
A midlife crisis, if you will.
No, it is very fake.
Yeah. But it looks fucking sick, though. I gotta say.
Do you like it? Some people
does
are
look
like, you
cool.
should keep it. Yeah. I'm like, really? Can I pull it off?
Fuck it. You know, you should.
Yeah, I'd worn this for a role, so.
You should partake in my journey of getting an arm sleeve tattoo. Like I already have one, you know, but I want to get this whole entire arm covered in tattoos. We should get our tattoos and we can share tattoo ideas and shit like that, dude.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do that. Yeah, my parents would like.
You would look sick. Oh, really?
But I should show up like this. I should show up like this too. I don't know if they could take
tattoos.
Joke, though. That's the thing. I feel like I run into a possibility of them having a medical issue, and then I'll be like, no, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake.
They just suffer a heart attack, and you're just like, oh, I'm sorry, it's a joke.
Yeah. But yes, I had to dress up like a punk rock chick a few minutes ago. It was the only time I had. They wanted a callback video, basically, before and today, and I was like, oh well, my whole schedule is scheduled like till 10 p.m. tonight. Like, there's no way that I can do it. I was like, okay, I have like 30 minutes now. I'm just going to do a complete transformation.
Well, I love it. I mean, you know, this should be the you should dress up in like new, like sort of like decades of like music, you know, like you get like 90s pop with like the puffy shoulder jackets and the
you gotta have the
puffy hair.
Puka
shells. Yeah.
Puka shells. Yes. I have plenty of 90s stuff. It's so weird because you go and walk into any store these days and you'll be like, oh, I wore that in high school. That's when you're like, oh, I am old.
It is.
Oh, no.
It is kind of wild now, right? Like to see that like 90s is now retro.
Yeah, it's so
basically
funny too,
retro
because I have a clear memory of my mom when I was in high school. My mom being like, "Oh, I wore that before," but so it must be just a thing. Just like every 10 years, you end up wearing the youth clothing of your parents.
I wish I had that. Like my dad was very stylish when he was younger, and he never keeps any of his clothes. He always donates. He's just like, yeah, just get rid of them. He's just like, once they have they start getting like thinned in fabric or whatever, it's like starts to fray, then he just gets rid of them. He doesn't think about it. He just, he likes to empty out his closet all the fucking time. But yeah. Like my dad had some fresh fucking threads, some European fresh threads, like from Tommy Hilfiger and stuff like that. Like my dad went nuts.
Stylish parent.
No, I mean and that's the thing. Like my mom dresses like an extra from Roadhouse, you know, back in the day. And I mean that with a compliment, but like it was just like lots of like poofy hair and like fucking like.
My mom is stuck in the 80s forever. Forever. She's last time I was like, Mom, you shouldn't perm your hair because it's like really bad for your hair.
It's so
and
bad.
Like,
yeah.
It's so bad. And she's like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is my look. I'm like, okay. Okay, Mom, it's very bad for your hair.
I mean, I guess like because they know it, they feel comfortable with it. So there's like, yeah, I'm just going to do this all the time.
It's their like mask, or what you would call it there.
Yeah. My uncle uses like an abundant amount of hair gel, like all the time that I see him for family gatherings. It's like he has and he doesn't have a ton of hair either. So like he has his slicked back hair and he uses gel. And I'm like, do you do that every day? He's like, every day. I'm like that, like, and he's like in his like 60s or like late 60s. And I'm just like, you're still using hair gel like that? That's fucking wow. You know,
it's called commitment. It is commitment.
I guess so, but that much hair gel that long cannot be good for you. There's no way.
It is commitment. Just like we're committed to filmmaking.
Right. I mean, listen, we're shooting the shit here. It's a free podcast, Christine. You know, sometimes we have news, sometimes we talk film,
we have detours,
and then sometimes it's just a couple of episodes we just detour. How's
your side of life? How's Austin?
It's fine.
I'm coming, by the way.
You are? When?
Yeah. I'll be I think I'm gonna be in Dallas first to see Marsha, a friend of a podcast.
Oh, right.
Before the 21st, so a few days before the 21st, and then I get in around the 21st, and then I am going to be helping out with Michelle's first short film, and then celebrating my 39th birthday.
Holy shit.
On the 28th. This is so sad.
On the 28th of April?
April, yeah.
Yeah,
we're all going to celebrate. Yeah, together. So yes, April.
Fuck yeah.
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 So yes, I'm getting my Texas fix.
Yeah, you get. So those are the only gigs. Is just Michelle's short film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so just, and also just I really miss Texas a lot.
Yeah, but knowing you, I feel like you're going to pick up 2 more gigs before you, like, it's going to be like the last second, like in the last week or 2.
No, technically I have a second one. The second one I'm remote on because the person who's is in Austin is leaving to go to the gig that he wanted me on, but I'm going to Austin. So I'll be working on it simultaneously, but I'll just be remote. So
that's convenient.
So yeah, it's cool. But yeah, no, it's still slow as F in good old Los Angeles. And it's interesting if people are following along. It might be good to address it because I know a lot of people are feeling really frustrated about it. And I think when you're in it, like here in LA, you just hear why. A lot of people who are on the outskirts of it don't hear rumors and don't quite understand why it's so slow. So if you don't know, it's just because there is the possibility of the IATSE strike, and they are in the process of negotiating their contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And so until I did read the news that the ASC, I believe Camera had a pretty successful negotiation.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know how the other ones go because IATSE is a huge organization. There's many departments that are negotiating right now. So it's pretty neat because I was at the DGA, is it 2 weeks ago? I can't remember anymore. But like the negotiations were happening at the DGA. So I went to go see a panel on VFX, and you could see on the other side there was like a bunch of crew coming in and everything. It was for the IATSE negotiations. So that is the benefit of being here in Los Angeles, is you are inundated in everything. You know all the things that are coming firsthand. And so so that's what's happening. That's why everything slows, because a lot of productions are realizing, hey, either for where their budgets are at currently, that they have to rethink where they shoot because they can't fulfill a lot of the new contractual agreements, and so a lot of productions unfortunately are moving overseas, or they're just not starting, period, because they're worried about, starting, stopping, starting, stopping. So that is why everything is so slow. And as we know, the industry is always a trickle down effect. So when the people in the unions aren't working, they're not making their films, which therefore the smaller stuff also is affected as well, indie stuff. So yeah, so somebody was saying like, hey, like, what do we do? And my advice at this moment is that you kind of just have to do whatever you can to survive at this point. Just be scrappy and resourceful. There is no shame to take whatever gig you need to do right now to just try to stay in the game just a little bit longer. I was at a networking event yesterday for DPs and directors, and I was shooting the shit and saying like, hey, I'm at this close to wanting to take wedding gigs again.
Yeah.
I used to shoot weddings, and there's no shame in that. It was a very good. I paid a lot of my bills that way.
Yeah.
And it was just a period of time where I didn't have to do them anymore, and I never thought I would come back full circle and say, hey, maybe I do need to shoot some weddings again. But yeah, it's at this point, it's like survival of the people who are the most tolerant to pain. What is your pain tolerance? Is really where we are right now. What is your pain tolerance? So,
especially we went through this a year ago, and it's really frustrating. Like you said, it's nice to, I don't know, like, yeah, it's nice to have a fallback, on something that and there's no shame in any of that, because you have to do what you have to do. And,
yes.
yeah, it's the same thing on my end. It's been pretty slow with Austin. So everybody's kind of hitting it. I mean, as far as for me, for art department, I know it's probably pretty okay for some. But it's been rough, and I'm sure it's been rough for a lot of people,
Yeah.
And,
it's been, I mean, I think the biggest thing is knowing that like this is a strange time, and it's not rough just for you. It's not because you did a bad job or anything. It's just rough overall. And so on Tuesdays here in LA, there is like this special gathering of ADs. And I mean, you hear it, you just hear people having to resort to lots of people driving Uber right now. These are like DGA ADs. Okay. They're driving Uber. Some of them are taking little side gigs and everything. I myself, I teach. So I teach piano. I did a job in sound last week. Sound.
doing what?
It was easy stuff. That's why I was confident enough to take it. But it was just interviews, and I've done plenty of interviews as a one-person team. So I was like, yeah, I can do sound.
Oh, okay. So you were mixing. Okay, got it.
I was mixing. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, but I ran into the worst thing that you could possibly run into. I'm like, okay, finally have a decent paid gig. I do everything perfectly, because I've ran many and many, many interviews. And I get home to dump the card, and guess what?
Oh no. What?
My first clip on the card is corrupted.
At that point, did you just want to go to the roof of your home and just fucking...
Yeah. I mean, I was having a full-on panic attack.
I would too.
I mean,
that would fuck me up.
I learned a lot.
That would
about,
fuck me up.
Yeah, it was like, I could not believe this is happening. Because I'd done this so many times, and it's just like, there's no there's no walking away from it, because either way you look like an idiot, even if it's
Yeah.
not your fault.
Yeah.
You know, how do you tell a client, oh yeah,
I fucked up.
we lost the entire sound for one of your interviews. Sure, it was 1 out of like 8, but that's still 1 too many.
Yeah. It's still like,
So if all I could do was I just did the best I could in terms of trying to recover it, and showed them that I did my best to do that. And like,
yeah, at that
mean,
point, what do you do? Yeah. I mean, it's
I don't
just,
know. I think you just
it is what it
You just
is.
accept that you probably won't be hired for that ever again.
Yeah. I'm sorry, dude. That's the thing of nightmares.
Yeah.
That's
Gilbert said, stay kind and gentle with yourself. We are all human. I know, but
Yeah.
the problem is like production is the least forgiving.
They are
sometimes
very,
with
yeah,
certain
they're
things.
not forgiving.
People think, that you're supposed to just be perfect all the time. But that was the worst. Was
Yeah.
discovering this and being like, great, this is cool. This is exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I had one of those weeks. and then I did another gig that was just camera opping, and that was fine. So I don't know. None of us can cast stones. I know, so brutal. I'm so sorry to hear this. Yeah, it's the worst. But I think this rule of thumb is shit happens, and you just gotta keep on keeping on. And my really good actually friend of the podcast, Cynthia Wade. She's a Emmy-winning, Oscar-winning director. I went to the networking event with her. She was the one who told me, you need to go to this. I said, okay, fine. And we were having dinner, and I was just saying, like, man, sometimes I feel like I'm going backwards, like literally going backwards.
Yeah.
Because, I'm taking these gigs that I would have been charging 10 times the amount in Austin,
Oh, yeah.
Just because of my skill level and everything. And she said, wait, this is not serving you. She said, you're not going backwards. You're taking a step back so that you can jump.
Yeah.
That resonated so much
Wow.
to me. Because there will be times in your life where you feel like you are going backwards. That's where I am right now. I literally feel like I am going backwards. I talked to Roxy about this too. She said there's points in her life when she transitioned over here that it was the same thing. She was like doing the smaller gigs again that she already worked up from. She was doing all the odd jobs to survive and everything, and but it's so that you can reestablish yourself in a higher, bigger pool, and hopefully from that it will set you up for the future. And it's hard in that moment to see that, because all you can see in that moment is oftentimes that you are doing something that is maybe what you started off doing in the very beginning of your career, So
Yeah.
yeah.
Just,
So
yeah.
So yeah. I just remember I have to keep reminding myself that sometimes you have to take a step back to jump. And it makes sense. Like, you think about it. When a business remodels, what do they have to do? They shut down their whole business. Do you think they're making money during that whole renovation? No, they're making zero money. In fact, they are spending money. Right? They are making it better. And then they reopen, and it's like, oh wow, new renovations, people like it more, what, blah 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 blah. But like, that's with every new rebirth of something, there's always like a moment of you're not going to be able to perform at the same level at all times. Sometimes there's a step back. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. It's been dark times for a while for a lot of people, including myself. and it shows a lot of power for people who still stick with this, because it's hard, y'all. Like it's not an easy thing, and this is this is someone who, like, such as yourself, has been in the industry for a while, and pretty established too therein. And even then, like, and you said like even other people in the DGA are also like taking fucking Uber side hustles and stuff like that. And
not just saying this, like
there's a perspective there.
Yeah, everybody's like, yeah, I'm right now, waiting tables, or right now I am doing Uber, or somebody's like an usher, and all these little things, and it's just like, oh, it gives you perspective.
And especially
obvious.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, it's just like on social media, you don't put that stuff, right? You don't put all the struggles that you actually have. And so there's a false sense that that everybody else is succeeding but you, right? But it's not true. You just don't see it. That's all.
Yeah, no, I mean, all I was going to say was like even the people waiting tables and like working in companies and such like that, like it's even harder in their instance, because the more that they remove themselves away from like, just the film industry in general. Like, of course, there's people who work in production and like commercials specifically and stuff like that as like side hustles, quote unquote, instead of like the, features and shorts and whatever that we usually prefer to work on because there's just more fun that, for that shit. But it's a struggle for everybody, and for the people who are going back to like other industries and like customer service shit is really hard, because it's consistent money. It's consistent money, and it's hard to just be like, well, okay, I need to put food on the table. I need to do certain things in order for me to make sure that we're surviving,
that your basic needs are met. Yeah.
Your basic needs are met. And I will say I'm very fortunate that I didn't have to, because I made it clear to myself, and I made sure that I would never go back to retail. I would just like understand that like I would figure this out, because the moment you do that, it's like you go back to an immediate like rotary thing, when like every year you tell yourself like, oh, it's just going to be for 6, 7, 8 months and then that'll be good. And who knows where the film industry is going to be then. I certainly hope it's going to be better. I'm sure it will. I definitely know it will, because there is always a point in history, especially I was like watching a documentary on this not so long ago, that like the 60s were hitting high fucking times for cinema. They were like at the top, and then they had a bad fucking crash because everybody was making fucking Westerns. Everybody was going to Italy and making Westerns in the late 60s, and they were just like, well, this sucks. There's just a bunch of white people on horses all the fucking time. I kind of don't want to see this anymore. And then the 70s happen. That's when you get Scorsese, De Palma, fucking Spielberg. You have all of these fucking crazy filmmakers that took what was like at the time is a pretty small budget, but the studios were very determined, and I hate to say desperate. They were desperate to have like movies, like good movies in cinemas. And those directors, I mean, for better or for worse, fucking saved cinema. They really saved the idea of what movies are supposed to be and whatnot, and what it means to all of us. And, not to say that Westerns aren't it, but I mean, fuck, how close is it with that whole, Western shit that now is like superhero shit, where it's just, We're constantly seeing that all the fucking time. There's some superhero shit that's pretty fucking sick in my opinion, but of course you have a few in a sea of thousands. So, you know, it's, you know,
Yeah, I think I
it's-
called it the
yeah.
changing of the guard, which is basically
Yeah.
there is a natural progression where at a certain point things retire. And I think it's just a natural, like you said, they're in the 70s, there was a new group of filmmakers, right?
It's a wave.
And now it's the same thing. It's like Hollywood has gotten to this bloated period point, and it's the bubble. It's burst, and now this is the time for, you know, either studios to figure out how they want to restructure things, or for filmmakers to pop in and do their innovative work, being, you know, scrappy and whatnot. So I don't know. I love indie. I'm indie girl at heart for always. Because that's like the
me too.
innovators to me. You know, it's like in
Totally.
the startup world, you got the startups and you got the corporations, and studios are corporations. Yeah. And then only through indies, and it makes sense. In a corporation, you just have a lot of red tape. There are lots of layers of bureaucracy, and each of those layers takes you further away from the initial creativity, because you are beholden to decision makers that hold the money, and you follow where the money goes. And when you are small and scrappy, like a startup, like indie film, you have less layers. It's just you making the decisions. And so you are able to try new things and test the boundaries of whether something's going to work or not, because you are not beholden. You don't owe anything to the layers of bureaucracy. You are the decision maker. And that's the exciting part is that. But that is also the part where you also have to suffer a lot, because you don't have the resources like the corporations do. So that's what it's your give and take, right? It's, you have the money, but to get that money, you have to answer to a lot of people. Or you don't have as much money, you answer to yourself. Therefore, you are able to take bigger risks because of that. And I think what we saw in the 70s was we just saw a lot of these new filmmakers that could take risks, that didn't play by the rules because they were making their own rules, you know? And
imagine a mechanical shark that floats in the fucking water that kills people is a successful, like a major milestone in cinema history. Who would have thought that? What studio would see that? A short Jewish man walking into the office, be like, mechanical shark eats people underwater, dragging them and killing them. If I was a studio head, I'd be like, get the fuck out of my office. Like, what are you
because
saying
it would be
right
like,
now?
This is what exactly they would ask. They'd be like,
Yeah.
well, can you give me some comps as to successful projects that are like this?
Right.
And could you run the numbers and tell me, like, when we're going to make our return on investment? That's literally what they would do, you know?
Right. Can you work out the numbers for me, please? Yeah.
Because that's how, when we pitch, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Because you're pitching to money people, and the best way is to they want to know what works currently in the world that you can compare this to. It makes sense because most people, they're risk averse. And what does risk averse means? It means risk means taking a chance on something that hasn't had a proven path, essentially, right? Which means a lot of these things don't exist. They are innovations, and that is hard for a risk-averse person to grasp. They are crunching numbers, making models, and whatnot, and so the model says that if you put people in Marvel films, there will be an X percentage of people who will go and watch those said films. Therefore, according to our math, it makes sense to sink more money into what already works. And that is
Totally.
why you get Marvel film after Marvel film after Marvel film, because the first 2 or 3 did make lots of money, you know? And that is why you need filmmakers who are like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go. Yeah, they told me we're not supposed to make Westerns. I'm gonna go make a Western because I want to make a Western, you know?
Yeah.
And then, or whatever you want to make. And suddenly, out of the rubble comes the one film that everybody is like, what is this? This is amazing. I want to watch it. And then it's a huge success. And then the studios all go, I want to do that too.
Let's do it over and over and over and over again.
Let's do it over and over and over and over again. And that's the cycle of films.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's interesting nowadays that we have the streaming wars. At least people still say we're in the streaming wars. I don't believe we are. I believe that the streaming services are the established giants. You know what I mean? Your Netflixes, your Hulus, your Amazons, your all that shit, right? I feel like it's interesting now. You would imagine that, like, because I was talking about this with a family member, and there was no correct way to answer it because we were talking and she was just like, I don't understand why there are so many horrible fucking shows and horrible movies. This is coming from her. I see horrible shit coming from all these fucking apps, and yet you tell me like there are talented filmmakers and there are lots of, why am I not seeing it? Like, part of it is, is the algorithm shit. Like I kind of explained,
Yes.
But also it was like, she was like, yeah, but more than that though, you would see at least something that works, right? Like something that is like, whoa, what the fuck? But she's like, it's mostly the old films. It's mostly like in the 80s and shit like that, in the 70s.
It's just there's a lot of noise right now. That's what we're all fighting against. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and all that stuff, but it's the you got to stand out above the noise. So what most people do, what most studios do, is they throw more money to become louder, right? So then it's just a bunch of people throwing money. Marketing is what it is. And so then you get all the trash, like basically just being louder and louder and louder and louder. And the problem is a lot of the stuff that is good takes time to organically find an audience because they don't have money. They can't throw money at marketing to be louder than the people who have millions of dollars to throw money to be loud at. So that's when you will later discover, oh, I really like that film. And you go tell, that's why it's so important, if you want to do your part, to talk about the movies you do enjoy. You know, hey, like I really enjoy this movie. Oh, hey, I didn't really. And you spread the word. That's why Everything Everywhere All at Once was such a phenomenon in the film industry, is because that's an independent film. Yes, A24 and all that stuff pushed it, but like it had great word of mouth, but it had the marketing budget is nothing compared to whatever came out from the studios at that point, you know? And so that's why you don't see it until much later. The older films, see? You don't see it until it's become older. That's why cult films take so long to become a cult film, is because it's all word of mouth and people, you know, telling other people, and that's slow. You're literally doing the telephone tree at this point. You know? Yeah. And that's kind of just the reality of it, you know? Josh said Paranormal Activity. Yeah.
So,
when that was
mean,
a success, every single freaking person wanted to make a Paranormal Activity or a Blair Witch, and we still have people still trying to do that.
But it's a good point that Josh brought up, because at a one point back in 2008, like found footage horror, like the only one that we've had was Blair Witch Project that was like monumental in America. I think there was another found footage thing that was like in another country. I can't remember, but that was a monumental thing. And to have something like Paranormal Activity to shoot on essentially no budget, and you have a couple people who I think know stunts or something like that, or like is affiliated or understands stunts, can do like the crazy shit that happens in the fucking house and shit. And with use of like very minimal CGI and make it compelling and convincing, you know, for fucking nothing. And then so they're like, yeah, this fucking rules. Let's make 90,000 of them. So it just makes sense to do it that way. Because if it works the first time, why not do it the next 5 billion fucking times?
5 million copies of this thing.
Which is
it's interesting because like so much good content is coming internationally, but we say that, but the thing is that by the time it gets to us, we get the cream of the crop. So it feels like it feels like, oh, all the good stuff is international. But the thing is, we're literally getting the best stuff by the time it trickles over here, you know?
Exactly.
So
right.
We're just in that right now in the US. We're in it where the good stuff is just taking a long time to rise up because of lack of funding and marketing and all sorts of jazz, because there's noise being made by people who can easier, you know. So yeah, because you think about it, like for the Academy Awards and stuff, like they just pick one from that country, you know, like it's like the one film that represents the entirety of Japan.
Right.
The entirety of Germany or wherever it is, right? The one film out of how many? Probably a crap ton.
There's probably a ton. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and not to say that they don't, you know, haven't earned it any less than, you know, yeah, exactly, like a Godzilla or something like that. I know there are plenty of Japanese films that were fucking awesome. They were bangers.
Great. We'll never hear because it can't.
Right.
It just can't make it over here.
Yeah. Right. Or at least have the marketing or the distribution of it's right. Just there's so many fucking the world of film is very fickle, and it's very like I hate using the word luck because I feel like it has nothing to do with
there
good.
Is element of luck, I feel like.
Yeah. I'm willing to
with any success.
I'm willing to concede that like word of mouth is damn near fucking luck. You know?
Yeah.
I'm willing to say that, but part of that though, with the luck, is the work ethic. Sometimes the talent, but it all depends on your hustle. It all depends on your, you know, on how much time and how much energy and sacrifices you made to make that fucking thing happen. You know,
right.
As much as, you know, anybody would say that like, well, one movie can be more successful than the other. That's absolutely true, but it can still have its own success nonetheless. Like if you know, fucking, you know, like I was stoked to have like on my podcast, Adam is Chase podcast on YouTube. I was stoked to see that like I had, you know, like I've been bouncing between like 100 to 200 views, and then I get like 500 views one podcast. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is fucking everything, you know, but I know I've watched video. I'm not an idiot. I know there's videos that make like fucking billions of views and shit like that. I'm not dumb, right. But at the same time, it's like, you gotta celebrate the little successes that you do have. And the things that you have worked on, and the things that, you know, you thought was going to be bigger, but it turns out it found its own way of success, you know, and how people determine that and how people really see that, it depends. But if it for yourself, like I don't know. Like, I feel like, at least for me, I know that, like, just even having a little bit of attention to it for the people who watch even this podcast, like, it means the world to me, because it just like,
Yeah.
it shows that, like, somebody gives a shit.
Somebody is listening.
And I
that's the whole,
appreciate
like,
that.
Yeah, how do you continue to make things when
It sucks.
you don't know if anybody cares?
It's,
Because you make
yeah.
it for yourself. Yeah, you have to. In the end, a lot of the times you have to love the process so much that you don't care who watches.
You literally said it, like, make it for yourself. Like,
You have to.
like I had to remind myself that with even this script that I'm writing with Manipulator. Like, I definitely felt like nobody is going to want to watch this. Like, why am I even wasting my time? And I still have that all the time, but you realize, like, as I go through it, I, with cooler heads, always prevail. So whenever I, get a snack or I take a nap or whatever the fuck that gets me to just feel better and feel okay, I look back at it, or I watch a movie and if it feels like I have that creative vigor inside of me, I go back to the script and I realize it's not that bad. There's a lot of things to fix for sure, but it's nothing that is like completely broken I cannot fix. It's not beyond that point. So I just have to keep myself there. But I've had bad days, and this is my first script. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to work.
I think the art process is up and down. It's not linear most of the time. It's like this the whole way up.
Yeah.
And that's why the consistency matters. And when I say luck, it's you can create your own luck, because luck is all about like something that's low probability and an outlier, per se. But if you increase the number of times you're doing something, you're increasing the probability of something happening.
Yeah.
So you are essentially creating your own luck. So like if you write one script and you put it out there, nobody sees it, and that's it. That's the only probability that you will have of success. But if you throw out 10 scripts, sure, one of those times maybe if the luck works out, and it just takes one, right? And so
Totally.
it's the consistency. And the thing is, the great thing is that humans have set the bar very low. Most humans cannot be consistent, because being consistent is beyond motivation. Half the time I'm not motivated to write more in
Same.
a library by myself with a bunch of homeless people. Like, just like, I'd rather be outside hiking, going to go spend money that I don't have on that nice coffee, or, go out and enjoy myself. Right. But so if you rely on motivation purely, it's not going to get you anywhere.
No.
But if you rely on every day, I have to spend 2 to 3 hours writing, no matter what. Every day, no matter who's watching, who gives a shit, maybe nobody's ever going to see it again. It's for myself. Then you do that a few months, a few years, you'll look back and be like, oh, shit, like I have improved. That's the cool. I think and I think as humans too, when we are in the moment, I think oftentimes time passes a lot quicker than it does in reality, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally.
So, like, I recently had to go through my photos to find a specific photo, and I had a realization that I haven't really been in LA that long. It sure feels like I've been here forever. I'm so annoyed with it.
Right.
But I looked through my photos, and like, it wasn't really that bad. Like, I was on these different sets, and I've clearly done some projects. I've clearly been to just some cool events and everything. And just sometimes it's really nice to take a step back and just reflect and realize that, hey, you have improved. Even though in that moment it feels like you are literally not doing anything that seems like is driving anything forward. The fact that you did the same thing, you kept writing, you stared at the same blank page, but two more words came out, a whole scene came out that is one more scene than you had before. And I think that's the biggest thing we can remember, and especially during times that are rough, because it's easy when things are good. That's the easy part is when things are great, right? It's like in a relationship. The best part of a relationship is when everything's perfect, but
you can only ride it for so long, you know.
Correct. But it's the worst parts of a relationship that you actually go deeper, that you actually learn about each other, that you get into the non-surfacey things, right? It's same with friends. It's like, it's only when you need, it's the hey, when we're all happy, having a great time, we all have money and we all go out and drink and whatever. Sure, everybody can have a great time. But where are the people who, when you are at the very bottom, you have nothing to offer, they're still there? Those are your relationships, right? Those are the people who give a shit about you. And so that is why, like, it's during these tough times that it's the people who stick with it. And there is no motivation. It sucks. It really does. You right now, nobody's watching. You know, everybody's broke, but you continue to create because it is who you are. You continue to create because you love the process. You continue to create because you really love it.
Totally.
You know, you continue to open up the freaking laptop even when there are no ideas, but you do it because you believe that by the time you're through this time, like you will have improved and you'll be on the other side, you know? So I'm emotional because, like, it's really hard right now.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I want people to know that, like, this is a real thing, and it's okay if you're having a hard time right now. Yeah. Because I don't think that's put out enough. On social media especially, you're supposed to put all your successes out. And, oh, look, I went to this event and this other event, this event. Yes, I did go to all those events, but I'm struggling like everybody else. I'm like I said, I took a sound gig, and then I took I'm thinking about shooting weddings, you know, and I literally feel like I am going backwards. But like my friend Cynthia said, you're taking a step back so that you can jump.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's all we can do, you know? Yeah. It's rough. But like you said, it's like you can't just depend on motivation alone. Like, there's got to be a productivity with it. There's got to be a work ethic. You have to be consistent within yourself, and if you want to make it for yourself, you know. Yeah. And it just also too. We don't need to get deep into it, but also too, it's like the state of the world as well is a tremendous weight on all of us. It's this November, we have another election. There's a whole conflict in the Middle East. There's everything is happening everywhere all at once. Unfortunately, in the worst fucking way. And it sucks. But to persevere and to see that, like, we have people even in our film industry that give a shit about each other. And that is just all the fucking motivation that I mean, even if you call it motivation, it's just, you know, that there are people who are gonna be there. So it's almost like a way to know that, like, you have friends, and, you know, it's okay to talk to somebody about it too. I mean, fuck, it's great for us to even do this podcast, but you know, we also got to be real with ourselves and know that like we got to keep pushing for the things that we love. And this is, at least for me, like even writing is what I love, even though 50% of this podcast is me being like, I can't stand writing, but it's, I enjoy it. I do love it. And I learn every single day. I do. Even when I'm staring, like you said, at the blank page and just nothing's going on. Yeah. Like, of course, like that always happens, but to write those few words or sentences or any of that makes all of the difference. And it applies to everything in life, not just the film industry, but yeah, it just is a bad time for so many fucking people, especially who aren't in the film industry. And there's a thing that I noticed too. It's like I read something on Twitter and it kind of resonated with me. And it was just like it's just like kind of like an example of the state of the world kind of summed up in one tweet. I know it's kind of cliche and dumb, but it is basically like everybody is throwing the word around, which is love. Everybody is saying that, you know, just throwing love around, but we have yet to fucking see it. You know what I mean? It's like for so many people and for so many of us, it is like we always say we're going to do one thing, but never really do it. You know, we always say that we're gonna call our, you know, long lost friend, but never actually do it, or finally work on that pet project of yours, you know, that you've waited so long to do, but you're never gonna do it. You know, it's like we say that we have all this love, but it's just it might be a pessimistic way of looking at things. For that, I apologize, but it's, you know, it feels real to me because I want to work with people who are genuine, and people like Christine are very fucking genuine, you know, and even people, friends of the podcast, and almost every single guest that we've had are essentially like, you know, people who are passionate and creative in the field that they are in. And, you know, you just give them one thing and they just go flying, and it fills me with joy. It gives me so much hope, and it gives me so much inspiration to know that like there are people just where I am right now who are also going through a lot of fucking stupid bullshit that is just like happening all around us, you know? Yeah. And as long as we know we're going through it, we stick together, and we can achieve the impossible, you know? And I do have that faith and belief in all of us, especially people who are negotiating in this IATSE thing. So, you know, we can take the next few minutes to take this plane for a landing, but yeah, I think Christine said it the best, and just keep making shit for yourself, y'all. You know, that's just like, that's like the
because that's the one thing you can control. That's the thing. What you can control is yourself,
right?
And how you react to the environment around you right now. So with things that you can control you. You don't have to be motivated, but you can control you creating, whatever that means. That could mean you're writing. This could mean getting a few people together who are like, let's just make something. You know, you can control that. You can control how you help other people. You know, you have lots of time now, so go volunteer. I did that. You know, go. That is helpful, because it's also nice to know that, like, hey, no matter how you feel right now, there are going to be, there are still you are still very privileged. We are still very privileged, and there are other people in this world that are having a much harder time than we are. So context, that gives context. You can help other people.
Not to say that we also don't go through and have our own set of problems. We do. Yeah. We do have our own set of problems.
You can ask for help too. That's another thing.
There's no shame.
There's no pride. There's no
exactly.
shame. You can also go and ask some help. The only thing would be the next time you're in a position to repay that in some form or fashion with your time, with money or whatever, then you do that, right? There's no
You can only
shame
fix
in being
yourself.
like,
Yeah.
like it really sucks right now. Like I could, yeah, you hopefully will have friends and stuff that won't let you sink, so ask for help. Don't let your pride or ego get in the way as well.
No,
So,
there's no need. But yeah. With that being said, y'all, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Keep making movies. Keep watching shit. And be inspired. If anything, it's just now's the time, I guess, more than any. I know that sounds so fucking stupid for people
think
who
of
are
it as
watching.
stocks right now. When do you buy stocks? When it's at the lowest point. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
But
so
I mean,
this is like right now. You just got to get through this little hump. That's all.
it's just, but for the heroes out there working 2, 3, 4, 5 fucking jobs. I mean, like, yeah, I know it's hard to say. Find inspiration. It's like, bitch, I got fucking dozen jobs I have to spin around. I got bills to pay. I don't got time to find some fucking inspiration. But I gotta say, you gotta find some sort of inspiration, because at least it's the one thing that gets me out of bed. It was the one thing that got me out of bed, even working retail for 10 fucking years of my life. Like, knowing that there is something at the end of the rainbow. Yeah, I keep promising myself every single year that something's going to come up. And 10 years later, now that happens, it happened. But I got to be consistent within myself, because I can only help myself really before I need to be starting to help others. And that was the one thing I've learned over the years, recently even, is to just really, really listen to yourself and just know what's happening, before you start to,
Put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah. And fucking A, ladies and gentlemen. But we know to quench that film school education, then to go to getrealisms.com, pick up your book today. That's just, it's all part of it's all part of the plan. You know what I mean? To get filmmakers out here, get learned and making fucking movies and shit, making featies, making shorties, making, commercials even. You still be creative with commercials. People have. We saw that Zack Snyder, Joe Rogan episode, Zack Snyder with his whole, like, I think crazy things with an Apple commercial, and I have the money, and I do it all. It's just like, all right, whatever. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make fun of him. I do like Zack Snyder, but whatever. It doesn't matter. We've already gone too long. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out, Instagram, and peace out, Facebook. We love you.